Hello guys, it's Peter from PS Sound, and in this short walk around I'm going to show you this Mercedes E-Class Saloon. It's a very similar car than what we built 3 years ago in the E63 AMG, and actually we use some of the parts of that installation. So for some of you this is not going to be very new, but still there's a different take on this project, but we use some parts, so I'm going to walk around and show you what we've done in this. So this car, as you can see, is not from UK. This was the first French car, right? You can say that, and the owner is right behind me and he's smiling. He was the very first person who made it. It was a very long journey because COVID didn't make our life easy. We had to postpone this project several times. Originally we wanted to build something in his previous car which had a system in it, but it was performing very badly, and step by step we were coming up with options for that. We wanted to rebuild the whole car, and then by the time he already had the ferry tickets in May and was supposed to bring the old car, then he just said, Pete, you know what, I'm gonna buy the new car. I was like, all right, okay. So that was the third time we had to postpone it, and then finally it made it in August, and Eddie did a lot on this car on his own, and I just came to help to finish off little bits at the end when I came back from holiday. So now the car was here with us. Many people could hear it when they popped down to us. So if you're one of them who heard this car before, feel free to drop a line into the comment section under the video. Then others can also have an idea about what, you know, everyday people thought about this system. Because I can say good things about it, like always, and then of course people will believe it. But yeah, well, you can believe me when I say something is good or bad. I never hide it. So this system is not as extreme as the E63, but it has many similarities. Let's go through it. So we have a three-way fully active front end with differential rear fill and two 15s in trunk IB. So the Morel Supremo Piccolo, I think, tweeters were supplied by the owner because he got them as a birthday gift from his wife. Right? I'm not joking. From his wife. That's exactly what type of wives we all need. And he's just smiling. And when we were planning the system, he was like, Pete, is it possible to have those tweeters? And I was like, why wouldn't it be possible? They are supposed to be good tweeters, and they do well. They disappear nicely in the system. They do a good job. For mid-range, we have the Micro Precision 5 series that you could see in many cars. They work great. As a 3-inch wideband driver, they are probably the most capable to play low. Yes, the pillars were built rock solid. You will see from the pictures at the end of the video. I will drop in the build pictures. The pillar was built up rock solid, as we always do. So when people say that, wow, you know, the sound is just so clean, it's not just because of the equipment. It's also because of the installation, because we build everything rock solid, the mounting is rigid. So in the lower mid-range, the clarity is just there. If you build a flimsy pillar, it's not going to happen. Not to mention that we have plenty of airspace behind the driver, breathing down behind the pillar down to underneath dash. So this way we can have a better low-end response from that small 3-inch. And yes, when I first built it, I sent pictures to the owner. He was even like, Pete, these drivers look small, right? Because he was comparing it to the E63 where we had 4-inch speakers and they were huge here and then tweeter above. Whereas this one blends in way better with the tweeter, but then we had to do it this way, that we had to separate them this way. It blends in way easier. Also the stage is a little bit wider this way. And yes, it's a better location for the mid-range up there than down here, because it helps to lift the stage. I know many people may argue with that, but no, it's not going to work. Once the mid-range is down here, that low infecture location, it's maybe in the center you can lift the stage, but overall it's going to rainbow just slightly, and it's not going to be as high as now. Now this is pretty much eye level across the dashboard, and this car stages pretty well. You can't detect the mid bass, which is in the firewall, where we used the match mid bass drivers from Audio-Tech Fisher, and they do a good job. They truly do a better job than when we had the E63 AMG and we used the L8 SE drivers, because we thought that the application in these cars is kind of IB-like, breathes into the chassis rail, but in fact it's sealed. It's a small sealed space. When I was stripping out the E63, and I might have had a video about that too, I'm not too sure, but I mentioned it a few places, that was the moment when I had time to truly check what the driver was like in that space. And when I pushed the cone, I could feel that it was really tight, like in a small sealed space, which then also confirmed why those L8 SEs were not playing below 70 Hz really nicely. 60 was already dead in that car, and those 9-inch drivers can play low. We transferred those into the owner's new Porsche Taycan, using them in the doors, and over there they play down to 45 Hz without any problem. So now these cheap match drivers that you can't see, but there's one underneath the pedal here, and there's one underneath the footrest down there. They can't really play above 200 Hz, but they are just enough to play high enough to blend to the micro precision mids, and then this way the bass is nicely up front. It's up on the top of the dash after the tuning session. By the way, if you want to see the RTA session and measurement session of this system, then please go to description, and then you can check it out on Patreon, where I share a lot of behind the scene content. We have weekly topics, we have a lot of interesting topics where I can talk about more in-depth content, and I don't have to worry about editing or anything. Plus, you know, I appreciate if people support me, and they also appreciate the time that I put into all these videos. So if you want to learn more, check out Patreon, guys. Link is in the description. So processor is a Zapco HDSP5 Z16, the 16 channel, because we need 6 channels for the front, 2 for the rear, and the subs. The subs actually run on 2 channel bridged on the Zapco amp, so I will show it. So we actually use 2 channels for each sub from the DSP. This way we use 12 channels. We can actually use the fader for the rear fill, and I'm not going to turn it up because then copyright is going to kill me, but then we can show it to people what the rear fill plays. When the front end is on and the rear fill blends in, you can't detect the rear fill, but it gives more room information. It makes your stage wider. There's just more ambience in the car with the differential rear fill playing. So we have multiple sources. We have the coax from the FIO M11 Limited, which is wired with the coax cable, and this was quite a task to do it actually on the day of the collection. Eddie had to pull the whole dash apart. It was quite tricky, and run the cables underneath the panel where there's a gap, behind it, down underneath the center console. So this way we have 2 charging cables coming out of the factory charging point, one going there to the FIO and one going there to his phone, so they just stick on with the magnetic pads. So this way we have wired digital connection directly to the DSP. We also have factory integration, so we have through the optical, we have the MOST 150 box from Helix. So we have full integration from the head unit. That this one actually plays lossless, but only WAV files, CD files, and there's 2 USB sockets down here. There's 1 USB in here now, and of course it plays DAB, radio, all the usual things. But if you want better quality, then definitely the coax. And we also have the HD player, which would come up here if we had a stick put into the DSP. But to be fair, once you have those 2, you hardly ever need the HD player, because then you have to faff here, and when you drive, it's just too small of a display for that in that location. By the way, yeah, that was also tricky because we didn't want to cut up that panel or screw it up. So this was 3D printed, transferred from a picture file. Eddie created a template from cardboard, transferred it, modeled it, printed it, and it was pretty much bang on. And it's just put on with super sticky double-sided tape, and the cable just comes out from underneath there. And this way it's easily accessible, and then the owner can switch between the sources in a very simple way. So yes, now in this one we did the MOST integration. Many people asked us in the E63 why we didn't, but that card just came out. It was pretty new on the market, and the only MOS box was available from NAV TV in America, and it would have cost an absolute fortune to import it over, and the owner didn't find much point of that, so he was just using his file player, which before that was mounted here on this panel, and the cable was coming out here to the player. This is definitely a neater option. It can still be taken out. It's relatively easy to reach, just like that. Or then he can run everything through the head unit now with optical output to the DSP. So let's go back. So the differential rear fill is in factory location, so I can't show much of that. And we have two Acoustic Elegance subs now, the same way like in the E63, and the whole trunk is using the same installation, and it was pretty plug and play. There are little differences in the trunk side, but the mounting for the subs is exactly the same. So if you want to see that, I will put a link to the E63 build that we did in 2018. Got stripped out. I kept the install. I couldn't bin it. I didn't feel like that. I would have binned it if I couldn't have used it for anything within a year. But then this project came along half a year later, and then we were pretty lucky with that, because this way the old owner and the new owner both got a good deal out of it. We definitely saved a lot of time with that, so we didn't have to fabricate the panels in the trunk. So at the back we just had to rejig the amp rack, because before we had 4 of the big Zapco amps, the 400.2s, and then now we have 2 of the 6 channels. So we had more space in the rack, and so the top one is running tweeter, mid, and then 2 channels bridge for 1 sub, and the other one is running mid bass rear fill, and other 2 channels running the other sub. Simple layout, 12 channels, give enough for everything. And I don't really feel like we are lacking anything, just because we had bigger amps before, and we proved it even to the owner in the Taycan, where we had the same amplification, no, just 1 6 channel and 1 big 2 channel for the subs. These 6 channels are just great for the money, very versatile, and they do everything. They are dynamic, transparent, they have plenty of headroom. So I don't know, I can't complain about these amps. They just deliver in every single installation we use them in. We did custom cables that run down underneath the panel, because the DSP is underneath, and then same way the power cables run down to the other side. The air circulation is active when the practical daily panel comes on the top, because then on one side we have the air sucking in through those grills, and then we have fans in each corner of the amp rack. If I can show it, no, I don't think you can see it, but then we have fans on the other side where through the other grill, that's it, through the other grill, then the air can come out. So much simpler, very similar, because the panel for everything, all the panels are from that car, which fitted relatively well with smaller tolerance differences, because over there it's not quite perfect like in the other car was, and then we have a gap there, where in that car I don't know what was hidden behind this panel. Probably actually the factory amplifier, because that car had the Burmeister, I think, yes, and that had the factory amplifier over there. That's where the panel was coming out. This way now we have a gap there, but that's useful to put cleaning tools or anything like that over there. So that's pretty much it of this system. Yes, everything was soundproofed that I can't show, but you will see from the build pictures. Even the wheels were taken off, the wheel arches were soundproofed, floor, rear seat area underneath the seats, the whole trunk, parcel shelf, you name it, everything was done on this, all the door cards. So yeah, this is also a pretty big installation, I would say. And yeah, it sounds wicked. You will have to check one of the previous videos where I had a demo walk around, where you could see this car playing when I was walking around it. And then I may have a few videos later in similar manner in another one when I sit in this and I record a few songs for you guys just for inspiration. Don't take it as a reference, it's still a phone recording. Yes, I'm using my Sennheiser microphones, but it's not like, not even close what it's like when you sit there. But it's great for inspiration, so if you want to hear what it's like from a recording, then check out one of the videos coming a bit later. Because of copyrights, it's quite difficult to share anything. Those videos are restricted in many countries and many people can't see them if I play something that YouTube pulls out. Well, they pull every single music out, so it's pretty difficult with them. So I leave it here. Check out the description for Patreon and the builds for the E63, and to contact us if you're interested in having a system in one of these cars, because they are great platforms. You can get great results even in a simpler way. You don't have to go this crazy. But this is going down in the book of history, sending out another nice audiophile system. And now, yeah, this is going back to France. So hopefully some people may hear it in France and they can hear a great high-end system. This is it. I finish it here. Feel free to share it. Subscribe to the channel, guys. I really appreciate that. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care.